Well, hello, y'all. I am actually cooking again. It is Sunday, and I plan on making, right now, I'm getting prepared roasted chicken. In case you guys don't know how to do a nice roasted chicken, and cornbread dressing. I'm going to try to do that, even though I already have a cornbread dressing recipe online. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little glimpse of what I do when I make those two items. But right now I am on the roasted chicken first. And in order to give your roasted chicken some really good flavor, I start off with bell pepper and onion. You just cannot go wrong with cutting up big chunks like I'm doing here of onion and bell pepper all over your chicken, like so. And you just want to put onion, all in it, just kind of let it randomly fall. But this, you'll be surprised how much of an aroma that this onion and bell pepper gives your meat. You can do this with beef, you can do this with pork, turkey. I normally, when I make my turkeys for like Thanksgiving, I normally will cut up like 2 bell peppers and 2 onions in half and shove them up the turkey's rear, and that puts that flavor and aroma all throughout the turkey. So yeah, you just put yourself some bell pepper and onion all over your meat, and it just, I don't know, it's just something about it. And then the way you roast it, the way I like to roast it after I put all this on here is I'll put just a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan, and then I'll wrap it with foil, and I'll put it in the oven and just let it cook, get real tender. Then when you want to give the chicken some type of color, then you take the foil off of it and let it sit in for another 15, 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, so that it'll get really brown. Now, this choice of seasonings are my Larry's seasoned salt. I love black pepper and garlic powder. You really can't go wrong with these 3 seasonings either. Basic. So what I like to do is I like to just sprinkle all over. I like dusting, just make sure it's covered, because you have to realize that when you roast chicken and stuff like this, that if you want, you can always go and get some of the seasoning on your hand and go up under the skin. I normally don't. I only do that when I do turkeys, because chicken, the season will kind of penetrate a little bit, but you have to realize you got to be generous with the seasoning, only because you're not going under the skin. So I usually try to be real generous with my Larry's seasoned salt, and then the black pepper, and then go over it with some garlic powder. Now, if you want, you can always flip these babies over. Let me show you another thing that I like to do, so that way it's seasoned all over. You flip them over like so, and you do the same thing on the back side, and then you can flip them right back over. So if you want, you can start off this way. Just a little bit here and there. And then the garlic powder. And yes, I like to do this because, there's seasoning that's hitting the bottom of the pan, which is also awesome, because that way the water that's penetrating, we want to call it penetrating the chicken, will also, that flavor will also go through the chicken that way too, because it's like steaming it and everything. So this is going to be really good. I love the smell of bell pepper, onion, and on chicken, and this smells like Sunday. Pardon me. It smells like Sunday to me when you do something like this. But yeah, you can never go wrong with just a basic bell pepper, onion mixture. If you want, you can always throw some carrots in here to give, and the carrots will give it really pretty color. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that, because it'll really make it look pretty. I have some julienne carrots that I got the other night from the store. And it'll just be really, really pretty. Just having those julienne carrots all around it like that. Also, you can do potatoes. You can put potatoes in there. If you were doing like a beef roast or something like that. Throw those in there as well. So now I'm going to add water to this. And normally I just get my turn the cold water on, and pardon me while I grab, I'll just grab a cup and pour the water in so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But doesn't it look really, really good? So now I put a little bit of cold and hot water in here, so it's like a warm water, whatever, here in my cup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just pour just a little bit. You don't want too much, and try not to take all the seasoning off, like so. Just a little bit more. That's pretty good, because you have to realize too that the chicken is going to also make juice, so you don't want to fill it too high, because the juices from the chicken will add to this. And so let me grab some foil. Wrap it really, really tight around those handles. As you can see, there's no foil on this side, so I usually like to do a double wrapping the foil. So I just come right back over to the other side of it. Alright, so. And that is it. That's it. That's it. And so I'm going to throw this bad baby in the oven, and we'll have us some roasted chicken. I'm making actually 2 pans of this because I'm expecting guests. But even if we don't get any guests, we'll have chicken for most of the week. Some of this chicken, if you don't use it to just eat normal, like, you know, a leg and the dressing, you can also, in the middle of the week, use some of this chicken to make chicken salad, or to eat an actual lettuce and tomato type of salad and a piece of chicken on the side, take a piece to work. You know, there's all kinds of ways to make it. And when I say chicken salad, I mean like you can take some of this chicken, chop it up, and put it over on top of a lettuce and tomato salad, or you can also take the chicken off and make like a chicken salad sandwich, the kind with mayo and, you know, relish and pickles and stuff like that, and that would be really, really, really good, because the chicken is roasted, so it'll be a different flavor than just your regular chicken out of the can. Alright, so I'm going to throw this bad baby in the oven, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Alright, so now it's time to put on our broth for cornbread dressing. I guess you're like, what do you mean a broth? What I normally do is I have a pot here, and it's filled halfway, or yeah, about 3/4 of a way with water. You can go ahead and turn your fire on. And what I like to add to this water, to add to my cornbread dressing, which is what I'm trying to fix now, is a thing of chicken broth. And I just cut the thing open so it'll just go ahead and pour out. You don't have to use the boxed chicken broth if you don't want to. This just adds flavor to the cornbread dressing. So I used a container of the chicken broth here. And then I cut up some bell pepper and green onion, and I'm going to add that to the broth mixture. And what we're going to do is we're going to just let that boil so that the vegetables can get really nice and tender. And once the vegetables are nice and tender, you're going to add this mixture to your cornbread. And let me show you how I make my cornbread. Alright, so let's just come over here. Um, Let me show you the broth at first. So this is what it's going to look like. And basically it's water, chicken stock, green onion, and celery. That's all you have in here. So that's there. And then over here, the other part of the cornbread dressing, I have 3 boxes of the Jiffy cornbread mix right here. 3 boxes of that. This is just going to make a small batch of cornbread dressing. I added 3 eggs to the cornbread powder, and now I need about 3/4 of a cup of milk. I know you need, yeah. So I put like basically 3 1/3 cups of milk in here. And then I also like to add some sage into my cornbread. And we can add more also to it when we're mixing the cornbread dressing. But this sage, ground sage here, this is what gives it that Thanksgiving dressing type of taste and flavor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this all together, and I'm going to put it in a buttered pan and put it in the oven and just go ahead and get it cooking. And then once the cornbread is done, I'll add the broth to it and mix it all together, throw it back in the oven, and you have your cornbread dressing. So let me go ahead and mix this together, and I'll come back and show you what the end result looks like. Alright, so I melted some butter in my pan. This is what I mean by a buttered pan. And I'm going to add my cornbread dressing to that, stick it into the oven, and go ahead and let it bake. And then once it's finished baking, I will add my broth to the cornbread. You mix it all up and stir it, get it mushy, and then you return it back to the oven so that it'll set. And then you have cornbread dressing. It's that simple. Alright, stay tuned, guys. Alright, so the cornbread mixture is in the pan with the butter, and now I'm going to put it in the oven and let it bake. I usually put it on like 350 degrees, and you let it cook for about, I'd say 20-25 minutes, maybe a little longer. You can insert the toothpick in the middle to make sure that it's cooked all the way. But basically you're going to follow the instructions on your cornbread mixture box, and that's how you know when your cornbread is done. That's it. Okay, these are some other ingredients that I'm going to use in my cornbread dressing. I'm going to use some cream of chicken. This is the first time I'm going to try this cream of onion, and then cream of celery. And it just adds a nice flavor to the cornbread dressing. The cornbread is done. I'm going to go ahead and get it, crumble it. Then I'm going to put it into my glass pan here, and I'm going to add the broth with it, mix it all together, and it's going to be yummy, yummy, yummy. And also we're going to add some additional sage to it too. So stay tuned, guys. Alright, so it's time to make the rest of our dressing here. I'm actually watching the game, so excuse me if I get like sidetracked or something. But anyway, I already crumbled up my cornbread. I added more sage. I added the cream of chicken soup, the cream of onion soup, and the cream of celery soup. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the broth to it. I have a ladle here, and I'm going to ladle some of that broth in here, and that'll get your mixture all nice and gooey. And you want to grab some of these veggies to make sure they go in as well. And you just kind of ladle it in little by little, and then once you got what you would think is a significant amount, then you can go ahead and start mixing it together. So what I ladle about four ladles of that in there, and then we grab our spoon here and mix it all together, all that goodness, all the yumminess. And I'm just making a little pan of it, not a big pan. Like, I'm so used to making big amounts of dressing, y'all, because we have such a large family. But this looks yummy already. The dressing, the cornbread dressing recipe I already have online. I don't think I added any of these soups to it. You can or you don't have to, but this adds a lot of yummy flavor to the cornbread dressing. And don't it look good? And then you want to get a little bit more of those veggies, not as much broth, but more so the veggies in there to give it that beautiful color. A little bit more veggies here. There. cornbread, yum and honey. You can't tell. I really do love to cook, and it's kind of the way that I show my family that I care by putting all of my love into cooking for them. So you mix all this up like so, and then you just kind of spread it back out. And then if you want, you can add a little bit more sage here. And then you can mix it up. But the sage is what gives it, I don't know, it's just like that Thanksgiving flavor, that Thanksgiving smell. And make sure you got your cranberry sauce in the fridge, getting all nice and cold, because people love their cranberry sauce with their cornbread dressing here in this house anyway. You spread that out, and if you want, you can give it a little taste. Oh, you know what? That doggone cream of onion really makes a difference. That's delicious yumminess right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven and let it bake. And what I normally do is I put it on like 350 degrees for a good 25 minutes or so. Kind of peek at it after 15 minutes to see if it has that brown color that you are desire. And after that, it's done. So let me put this in the oven and I'll get back with you.